Here is how to get mechanical components, and then the best way overall to get them quick. In order to get mechanical components in Arc Raiders, you can do this by salvaging certain rare or uncommon items, like some uncommon weapon attachments, looting them directly in mechanical areas or sometimes any type of area depending on what container you are looting them from certain defeated Arc enemies, or from crafting them at the refiner. Of the strategies we just listed, the fastest method is to create a refiner. In order to construct the refiner, you need 60 metal parts and 5 Arc power cells. This can be obtained safely with little enemy contact in one run on the damn battlegrounds map with a free loadout. You will also want to loot any rubber parts and extra metal parts beyond the 60 requirement if possible. I'll explain this later. Next, launch into a match in the daytime and stick to the outskirts of the map. If possible, travel to the far west/south side of the map. Here there will be areas like the South Swamp Outpost, water towers, and the scrapyard. These areas provide little enemy action and have all the required loot we are looking for. Basically, everything that looks like it is made out of metal can eventually be broken down to metal parts depending on the rarity of the item. For example, items like the magnet or spring will break down into metal parts. Adding on to this, make sure to only fill your inventory with the loot you need. This includes the metal parts, the Arc power cells, and anything that salvages for rubber parts, like wires. Then drop everything else unless it is very high quality. For the 5 Arc power cells, either focus on taking down the occasional Arc enemy flying around and looting their destroyed body, or loot Arc husks that are already destroyed laying on the ground. Last note on this run, if you fully loot one of the locations, simply move to the next one and loot any containers, raider stashes, raider camps, or any other type of loot you find along the way. Extract at one of the nearby extraction sites if possible, and use a smoke grenade for cover if you got lucky and were given one. If the extraction is too hot and you have extra time, just go to a different extraction to avoid losing your loot. Once you successfully extract with the required items, progress to the workshop, select one of the empty workstation slots, and construct the refiner. Now, here is the reason I said it will be good to get extra metal parts and the rubber parts during your run. You will need 7 metal parts and 3 rubber parts to craft 1 mechanical component at the refiner. As you just saw from the previous run, these components are pretty easy to find and load up on in the areas I recommended. Last point on this, if you happen to have a decent amount of assorted seeds saved up in your stash, you don't even need to go loot these items. You can trade assorted seeds for both metal parts and rubber parts at the Trader Celeste. Now just repeat as needed.